Okay, feel free to use footage from Farfa's video for B-roll. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Coder, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new set that Konami just had content creators reveal. Now, here's the thing. You might have guessed it, people are complaining. Why? Let's talk about it. So today I'm talking about the brand new 2-player starter set. So this is basically a set that comes with 2 pre-built decks, as well as a basically like little comic book manual thing that explains to you and basically runs you through a scripted duel using the decks that you have from this set. So basically it comes with 2 sets that are stacked in a very specific order, and when you open it up there's a little manual, and when you read through it, it basically runs you through how to play the game using those 2 decks, provided you haven't shuffled them. So it knows what cards you're going to be drawing, it knows what cards you're going to be playing, and it basically plays it out for you so that you, as the person who is playing the deck, doesn't have to know how to play the game. So obviously the idea behind this set is that you take 2 people that don't know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And they get told how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! The manual basically hold your hand and run you through an entire game so that you can learn the basics of the game while basically playing the game. So if you're more of a visual learner, you have that visual aid to how to play the game, and basically take that information to then potentially play a duel with the decks that you have, or even discover if you like the game or not enough to pick up a deck of your own and start taking it to locals. So how could it be even possible that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Player base could look at something that is very clearly designed for beginners or brand new players and get upset? Well, you see, the biggest issue is the fact that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players think that this set sucks. And I'll explain why. First off, the first thing that, avid Yu-Gi-Oh! Players will look at anytime a new set is released, and basically this is like a starter set, so it's not even much of like a set. It's almost not even like a structure deck, you know what I mean? This is very much just like a thing that just contains a pile of cards. Like, honestly, the cards that are in here, nothing is really fantastic, and I think that's one of the big criticisms that people have. Like, the only real cards in here that are, relevant that you might see be played nowadays is like, there's a couple of synchro monsters like Coral Dragons in there, which is not a bad card. There's a Zeus reprint in here, so Zeus is a pretty good card that you would see, so I guess that's like the best card in the set. Otherwise, one of the decks has a DD Crow, so they got hand traps. They teach players about hand traps, which is a good thing. A lot of newer players, when they start playing the game, they get hand trapped and they're like, whoa, what happened to setting back row and interrupting me with that? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are actually up in arms for some valid reasons, and we could talk about that. One of the biggest things that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players look at this set and think, damn, this is not a good product, even for beginner players, is specifically the fact that a lot of people look at this and think this set isn't actually going to teach Yu-Gi-Oh! To anyone. And this is a bigger conversation to be had about how easy is it to actually teach someone to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I myself have tried multiple times to teach friends of mine and whatnot how to play the game, and I'll be honest, it's really difficult. I believe that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably the only game that if you hand someone like a deck, and not necessarily like a really complicated deck, like you could hand them like Sword Soul or Live Twin, like these are somewhat easy decks to play, they're fairly straightforward, and you could probably hand them these decks and try to play 50 duels with them, and by the end of the 50th duel, they still probably don't play somewhat optimally. They don't really get it. Whereas other card games that I've seen, like I picked up Force of Will 8 years ago, and I picked that game up, and it just like that, it was very easy. One other game, Alestrals, is a very new game by content creator A-Drive. This is a fairly new game, fairly in its infancy, but I've played this game with friends of mine, and I shit you not, after 2 games, they understood everything. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Is arguably one of the more complicated games, and that's why Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game that needs a set like something like this. So the big issue that people have is that these sets contain Synchros and Xyz. None of these 2 decks contain Fusion monsters, Link monsters, Pendulum monsters, or anything like that, and they actually have like a ton of normal monsters and stuff like that. So a lot of people are looking at this set and thinking, sure, it'll teach people how to normal summon, how to tribute summon, how to synchro summon, but at the end of the day, does this set prepare a brand new player to actually play Yu-Gi-Oh? And the answer to that is a little bit iffy, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you look at something like this and you think, there's a very real world that someone will buy the 2-player starter set, play with their friend through the, scripted duel that they have, and they're like, okay, I now know how to normal summon, I know how to normal set and stuff like that. My synchro monsters are really strong and all this stuff. And maybe someone's just gonna pull up to a locals with this. They go, yo, I think this deck's really cool. I'm gonna go to a local tournament and play with this. And then someone's gonna go scale Astrograph Sorcerer, and they're gonna go, the fuck is that, bro? The reality of it is that Yu-Gi-Oh is a game that has so many mechanics that it's so hard to teach a new player. But I think something like this is, yes, cool. It's really cool because it does give new players the opportunity to learn the basics. However, does this set prepare someone to actually play Yu-Gi-Oh? I think the answer to that is actually no. I don't think anyone can get the 2-player starter set, run through the scripted duel even a couple of times, and then try duels of their own using the 2-player starter set like base pre-built decks, and are then ready to hop into Yu-Gi-Oh. Even without committing to locals, maybe they'll download Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and then play through the tutorials of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel that teach them how to link summon and stuff like that. But that doesn't prepare them for pretty much anything in terms of actually playing the game. We've seen fellow content creators such as Raren, such as Ludwig, that have tried to play Master Duel, and it's fallen pretty flat each time. Like, you look at Raren, and Raren even had a very clear example that he gave, which was, I've played through all the tutorials, and I've played this game for about 2 hours, playing decks that my audience of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players recommended me to play, and 2 hours in, I still have no idea what's going on. And the reality of it is, that is how learning Yu-Gi-Oh! Goes. Like, for the most part, when you pick up the game, if you just jump straight into it, you are not gonna know what the heck is going on. I really don't think you're gonna be that well prepared to even start playing casual duels on Master Duel. Like, what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna pull up Master Duel, you're gonna build your Blue Eyes White Dragon or your Dark Magician deck, because that's what most beginner players do, and you can't fault them for it. It's the cards that they recognize from when they were a kid. And then they'll boot up Master Duel, and their opponent will go scale Wakaushi, full super heavy samurai combo, and they're like, when is it my turn? This 2-player starter set actually runs you through a fairly back and forth duel. And the reality of it is Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't really a back and forth game for the most part, especially if there's a very, very big skill gap between the 2 players. If one player plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Almost every single day, and then you have one player that it's his 4th duel ever after buying the 2-player starter set, they're gonna get blown out the water completely. So that's the main reason why a lot of players are actually complaining about this set. They're saying this set doesn't prepare newer players to play the game in a real life duel setting. So what do I think? Is this set actually good or is it bad? And here's what I think. I think I'd like to push back a little bit on all the people that are saying that this set is really bad. The fact that it doesn't have any crazy reprints apart from like Zeus does not matter. That is not what this set is for. At the end of the day, a lot of people are looking at the 2-player starter set as if it was for like beginner players that have been starting to get into the game and stuff like that. But the reality of it is this set actually isn't for those people. This set is specifically for 2 people that have never played Yu-Gi-Oh! In their life to pick up and play together. For the most part, the way most people get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Is through their friends. They have friends who play the game, and they ask their friends, hey, can you like teach me how to play the game? Can you show me how to play Yu-Gi-Oh? And then through their friend, they end up picking up Yu-Gi-Oh! I myself, that's how I started playing the game. Back in 2016, I had some friends that started to play, and they were like, hey, Kevin, do you have any Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards? And I'm like, yeah, I have my deck from when I was, 7 years old. And they're like, cool, bring it. And I had the same experience, right? I set Bubonic Vermin thinking I was good. My opponent goes, scale, pendulum summon 4. And I'm like, what is going on? We all have that same kind of experience. But then over the course of playing with my friends more and more, I learned a lot more about the game, and they basically held my hand through it and taught me how to play the game. But for some people, they just don't have any friends who do play the game. And for someone that has no one to basically guide them or teach them how to play, it's really difficult to get into the game. At the end of the day, Yu-Gi-Oh! Ends up being kind of like a pyramid scheme, right? Where it's like, okay, now that you have started playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, you need to get 3 more people to play the game. And then those 3 people need to get 3 more people to play the game. And that's basically how the player base has been growing in this game for, years. It's very difficult to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! If you don't have a friend to basically get you into it or to guide you through it. Some people will get through it, with like content creators and stuff. They'll start watching streams or watching YouTube videos. But even that is like pretty difficult to get into the game with. So this set basically eliminates that. This set literally says if you and a friend or you and a family member that have never played Yu-Gi-Oh! And don't know anyone that knows how to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can play Yu-Gi-Oh! With this starter set, the two of you that have absolutely zero information can have your hand held by the booklet rather than have your hand held by a friend or a family member that already plays the game. So at the end of the day, do I think that the set is good? Yes, I think this set has a very, very clear and specific goal, and I think this set achieves that clear and specific goal very well. At the end of the day, people that already play the game, or people that, you know, are beginners in the game that already know the very basic information that this is going to give you, this set isn't for them. And for those people to be complaining about this set, I think it's a little bit silly. At the end of the day, this set is meant to take two people that don't know how to play the game at all and teach them the basics. And does it achieve that? Yes. And that's case in point. I think it's ridiculous to say that this set isn't good. And at the end of the day, I'd love to see them make more of these. This is Synchro and Xyz, but what if they made, you know, one for pendulums, one for fusions and stuff like that, and then maybe down the line, they can make one of these that incorporates multiple summoning mechanics. And the big thing, right, is for anyone that's tried to teach their friends how to play, the biggest hurdle to cross is, okay, so you have your main deck. In here, you put monster, spells, and traps. Simple, and they're like, okay, cool, yeah, 3 cards. Not a problem. That's very easy, very basic. And you're, okay, so here's your extra deck. This can have synchros, Xyz, pendulums, fusions, fucking the links, the whole thing. It can have everything. You know what I mean? And then people go, whoa, and how do I summon these cards? And you go, well, you see, they all have different ways to get summoned. Like, it's so overwhelming for a new player to learn all of these mechanics. And a lot of people will say, well, okay, just give them a deck that uses only one mechanic like the starter deck does. But at the end of the day, you're going to be playing against someone else who has a different mechanic. And you're like, well, I don't understand how their mechanic works, so I don't know how to play and I can't play this game. So I think it would be good. Like, the only criticism I'll really give is I think at the end of the day that this starter set should give people the ability to learn all of the summoning mechanics rather than only one with the synchro and only one with the Xyz deck. I think they should give them decks like, you know, like DDD or something like that. I know DDD is like hella complicated, but something along those lines, right? Like a deck that's able to utilize a wide variety of summoning mechanics so that they can actually learn everything. Because at the end of the day, I think this is like the first in multiple stepping stones to playing the game. And I'd love to see like this be the first stepping stone. Then the second stepping stone is someone like starts watching Yu-Gi-Oh content or something like that. And if they're able to follow, they're like, okay, so he synchro summoned because this monster was, you know, a tuner, that one wasn't. Oh, he performed a pendulum summon because he had scales 1 through 8, so we could pendulum summon 2 through 7 or whatever. If they're just able to follow while watching a game after buying this 2-player starter set, that would be the best possible scenario. And that's what I would love to see. That's it for me. Let me know what you guys think of this 2-player starter set. Do you guys think that it's actually a good product? Do you think it's a bad product? But do keep in mind, it's not meant for players that play the game avidly. It's not meant for avid players of the game. It's meant for people that have never touched a Yu-Gi-Oh card in their life. So keep that in mind. And honestly, I think this is a fantastic set. I think this is great. I think it's amazing. So that being said, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.